What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the reveal of players number 80 through 71 in my top 100 players projecting for 2019 countdown. Just a quick reminder, hit that like button, hit me up in the comments your thoughts. So number 80 here, Roquan Smith of the Chicago Bears, actually going to come in ahead of Darius Leonard and Leighton Vander Esch as projections. You really saw Roquan Smith come on in about the last 6 weeks of last season, a much younger player than those other two players, and was a blue chip prospect in that class, surrounded by the talent that he has there in Chicago. I expect Roquan Smith to emerge as a top tier linebacker and someone that I do think down the road could be someone that we talk about like we talk about with guys like Bobby Wagner and Luke Kuechly. Number 79, Cameron Heyward, made my list for the most underrated player on the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers very quietly were a top 10 pass rushing team by PFF last season. Cameron Heyward was in the top 5 for pressures for interior defensive linemen and should be able to sustain that success moving forward. Number 78, Rodney Hudson, has been just a rock at center for the Oakland, soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders. And he's actually younger than you would expect. He's only about 30 years old, so should still have some really good years in the tank. We'll see if he can get surrounded by a better offensive line, and this group can get back to what was one of the best offensive lines several years ago, in large part thanks to Rodney Hudson as the signal caller there in the middle. Number 77, Michael Thomas of the New Orleans Saints. A top 10 wide receiver, pretty much any way you look at it. He has every tool you look for in a true number one wide receiver. Can release, has run after the catch ability, can separate, awesome hands. Might not be necessarily an elite athlete, and there's a chance he may have kind of reached his ceiling, but that said, his ceiling is very high, as we've seen really for the last 2 seasons. Number 76, we have another quarterback here, Ben Roethlisberger. Things did not go as they had hoped in Pittsburgh last year, but Big Ben, despite LeVeon Bell sitting out the entire year, continued to play at a very high level. Still certainly an elite quarterback. If there were questions about if his physical abilities were going to drop off year after year, while I don't think he has the same zip he may have had in his youth, he can still sling the ball and is still certainly a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Number 75, Le'Veon Bell. Coming after Big Ben here. Moving over to the New York Jets. I still think that Le'Veon Bell is going to be one of the 3 to 5 best running backs in the NFL. Not the most physically gifted running back, but his patient style is incredibly unique. I'm just excited to be able to watch it again, because watching Le'Veon Bell really create magic is one of the most fun things to watch in the NFL. And he has great hands out of the backfield, and he can create a lot of that magic in space, offering a lot of ability as a receiving threat as well, and should be a nice complement to Sam Darnold. So I think he will have a good year there with the New York Jets. There were some questions earlier in the offseason about if he was overweight, if he was just going to kind of take his money and run here. After really not many teams were willing to pay him, but it does seem, as we sit here in camp, that he's making a big impact for that team already. Denzel Ward at number 74, expecting some continued growth for the star rookie corner from last season. The Browns defense has all of the makings, especially when you look at that pass rush, for a defense that's going to be able to help out Denzel Ward really continue to climb towards being an elite corner in the NFL. Number 73, Brandon Graham, edge rusher / 3-tech interior pass rush downs rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles were second in terms of pass rush grade by PFF last season. Brandon Graham, another fantastic season there. A guy that is really the epitome of the conversation that sacks don't matter and you want to look at pressures. Year after year, Brandon Graham is up there in pressures, but doesn't necessarily get the sack recognition because a lot of times people are cleaning up after he does all the dirty work. So I wanted to make sure he gets the respect he is owed on this list. Number 72, Marshon Lattimore. So we got 2 Ohio State corners making the list here in the 70 to 79 range. Lattimore came into the NFL a year before Denzel Ward. had one of the most impressive seasons, not just by any rookie cornerback, but just a cornerback in general. Was absolutely phenomenal as a rookie and repeated very high level performance in his sophomore season. I think we've seen enough to say that Marshon Lattimore is one of the 10 best corners in the NFL. And then number 71, this guy just got a massive contract extension. Grady Jarrett, interior rusher for the Atlanta Falcons. He's a guy that I look at as kind of that undersized rusher that is so explosive up the middle, also has just raw strength to him, who on a defense that hopefully can stay healthy and be a little better this year, could get up into that sort of Geno Atkins, Chris Jones level of pass rusher. Because right now he is in this massive cluster of guys, like guys we've already named, Cameron Heyward and Kenny Clark. There's a big cluster of guys that are getting 45 to 55 pressures a year. Then you've got those two guys we just named, Chris Jones, Geno Atkins. They're kind of a step above. And then you, of course, have your Donald and Fletcher Cox. I don't think that Grady Jarrett will ever get to that, but I do think he can enter that sort of top 5 consensus interior rusher this year and will have a great season after getting paid there for the Atlanta Falcons. So that's the list, 71 to 80. We'll be back tomorrow with the next 10. Again, hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Cheers as always, and we'll see you for the next one. Peace out.